What's up? My name is Den. I own a recording studio in Pittsburgh called NOTA Studios. We've been open for about the past 2 weeks, so it wasn't that long ago that, I was in my basement recording music in an open, untreated room with not the best sound quality. And that's probably why I really resonated with this Reddit post that I saw. And just to sum it up, the user was talking about the equipment that they currently had and asking for recommendations and advice on what equipment to get next and in what order, just asking basically for a roadmap, which I know all of us wish we had when we were first starting out. I know if I could go back and redo everything all over again, I would start completely different than the way that I did, because looking back at it, I was an idiot. But anyways, I did respond to that post on Reddit, but I wanted to share my response with you all. Hopefully it would help out more people than just those on Reddit. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this post and just say what I would do based on their situation and the equipment that they currently have. And, just take pieces from it, decide what works best for you, because every situation is different. So I'm just going to read some key points from this post, but basically they're just trying to get started with the basics. Right now they have a MacBook Air with the M1 chip. That's actually pretty decent. They have an Alesis V25. We actually have an Alesis here right behind me at the studio. So that's not a bad mini to have. And Ableton Live 9 Lite, but they have a DAW, like they have a full DAW. Lite is not like a demo version. You can still save your stuff and everything, so that's pretty decent as well. So their main question is, what would be the ideal list of equipment to purchase, and what would be a good order to start buying them? That's what I want to answer, but I'll just go through that real quick. So again, right now they're starting out with a MacBook Air with the M1 chip, specifically with the M1 chip. So that's a more recent MacBook. This isn't a MacBook from like 2010. This is a MacBook that is decent. All right. They also have an Alesis V25. It's a smaller mini keyboard, but it gets the job done. It has a little drum pad on the side. It has knobs on it. It has, different octaves. It's good. The 25 keys is perfect. That's about 2 octaves right there. And then they have Ableton 9. Now that's fine to run with. Obviously, you want the full version of a DAW. You don't want to run with the light version or the intro version, because you're going to be very limited. But the DAW is besides the point. You can run with a light version of a DAW for now. But if you're talking just equipment, the very first place I would start is with studio headphones. Specifically, I would get headphones that have a 3.5 millimeter jack and come with the 1/4 inch attachment, specifically because the MacBook has a 3.5 millimeter jack built into it. And for future use, you can use that 1/4 inch attachment once you get an audio interface. So that's perfect. And you need to know how to mix. Starting out, you need to learn that. That's the most important part of music production, is knowing how to mix. You can't just throw sounds together and that's it. So if you have studio headphones, you can learn how to mix. You can hear more frequencies. You can hear the frequencies better. They're kind of isolated, especially if you have closed back headphones. Don't get open back, get closed back headphones. So after you have your headphones, the next thing I would get would be an audio interface. This is probably one of the most important pieces of equipment to get, if not the most important piece to get. It's really hard to do anything without an audio interface. That's how you record and that's how you listen back. So you have your closed back studio headphones with a 1/4 inch jack, and now you have an audio interface. That 1/4 inch jack you can attach to your headphones and plug it right into your audio interface. At this point, you don't have any speakers, but you can listen through your computer speakers. Let's assume you have a MacBook. You can listen through your MacBook speakers, and you can listen through your headphones. That's perfect. That's a great place to start. You'd have a pretty decent mix if you just mixed in those 2 mediums. You don't really need anything else, but I would highly recommend listening to your songs in multiple different devices, in the car, on your phone, in Apple headphones, in CVS, Rite Aid headphones, just cheap generic headphones. But You can get a good mix off of just those two things if you switch back and forth. Now that you have an audio interface and you have studio headphones, that means that you can start recording. If that's something that you want to do, I highly recommend it because it will help you learn how to mix vocals if you start recording yourself. I recommend getting a condenser microphone. That is, you absolutely need a condenser microphone. There are two types of microphones though. First is condenser and the second is dynamic. What I'm holding in my hand right now, this is a dynamic microphone. I would just get a condenser microphone. It's pretty much standard. You can get one for pretty cheap and you'll be good. Okay, so we're making great progress. We have studio headphones, we have audio interface, and now we have a condenser microphone. Now we can get studio monitors. Yay, what you've been waiting for this whole time, studio monitors. I recommend getting studio monitors last because they're more than likely they're going to be one of the more expensive things on your list. Here in my studio, I don't know if you can see them. Over here we have KRK Classic 5s, and they were probably the most expensive thing in the studio. I do not have expensive equipment. You don't need expensive equipment. A lot of these things were pre-owned and they work perfectly fine for us. I don't remember how much these were, but I do remember that they were the most expensive thing in here and I was stressed out about buying them. So that's why I recommend getting them last. Like I said earlier in the video, if you have closed back studio headphones, then you should be able to get a good mix. You are going to be okay with just headphones. I know how much you want speakers. I know you want to feel the bass bumping throughout the room, but trust me, these things are really expensive. So just hold off on it for now. You're okay. Especially if you're just planning on, mixing beats in your bedroom or recording yourself. So that's the order of equipment I recommend you getting if you want to get started with music production. Now, the equipment that I recommend, first, I would recommend the Audio Technica ATH, I think it's M50x headphones. These are the headphones that you're going to see in a lot of professional recording studios inside the recording booth. They're really good headphones. I've used them a lot. They're good for mixing, they're good for recording, they're perfect. They cost about $150 brand new, but I do recommend trying to see if you can find some cheaper. I just saw a Facebook post maybe 2 days ago. Someone was selling 5 pairs for $125, so that's $25 a pair. That's a really good deal. Again, most of the things in here pre-owned, they're not expensive, but we get a good sound. The next thing I would recommend is getting a Scarlett 2i2. Again, let's just assume we all have MacBooks because of this user's current situation that they're in. So I would recommend getting a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 because Focusrites work really well with MacBooks. I have a MacBook at home with the M1 chip, the same MacBook that this user has, and I'm using a Scarlett Solo at home because I'm not recording anyone from home since I have a studio. But I recommend the 2i2 because it has 2 inputs, just in case you want to expand later, maybe start recording more people, or maybe start your own little small studio. I do know people who have Scarlett 2i2s with a recording studio. So the condenser microphone I recommend getting, this might be surprising if you know microphones, but I recommend getting the ISK Vibrato. It's a very cheap condenser microphone, but I watched this YouTube video where this guy was comparing the ISK Vibrato to a Telefunken TF11. The purpose of the video was not to compare the microphones, but listening to them both, not really much of a difference, especially if you're going to be, at home just doing you just need a cheap setup, you just need something to get started. The ISK Vibrato is a perfect place to start. Or you can get the Focusrite CM25, which is also the microphone that we use here. It comes with the Scarlett bundle, so if you do end up getting the Focusrite 2i2, it will come with studio headphones and it will come with microphone as well, but of course it will be more money for the bundle. Okay, so last thing on the list is going to be your studio monitors, right? Here we have KRK Classic 5s. You can find pre-used studio monitors for a decent price. it's very difficult to find the well-known ones and the most used ones, like the KRK Rockets, which is what we wanted to get, but we couldn't get them for a good price. The classic 5s were a little bit cheaper, and honestly, we like the sound better. But I recommend getting the PreSonus Eris 5s, I believe they're called. So yeah, it's called the PreSonus Eris E5, and it looks like they can retail for about $90 each. So together they'd be like $180 or $200. I hear that the Eris E5s are actually pretty decent. They're not the best, but they're decent, especially if you're, again, in your home, in your bedroom, studio, making music, just in your house by yourself, and it's not like a commercial studio. So that's my recommendation. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, this is very opinion based, and everyone has different tastes. Everyone has different styles. Those Eris E5s might work for somebody and may not work for anyone else. The Audio Technicas might, be uncomfortable for someone, or it might just be more convenient to just get the Scarlett 2i2 bundle, or just get the Scarlett solo bundle, depending on what you're trying to do. Like if you just need to record yourself and you don't want to record anyone else. But that's really all the equipment that you need to get started. I'm not going to talk about plugins or any software or anything, because they just said equipment. That's it. Obviously you need a DAW, obviously you need plugins, obviously you need sound packs, etc. But just going to talk about equipment. Let me know what you think, though. I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation about it, and like to hear what you think. I hope this helped you. Good luck. Have a great one.